When you think about a family, the first thing that you think about is the mum and the dad. When it comes to family dynamics and psychology of a family, it's really important that they actually combine their energies, they combine their love, and they combine their understanding. On today's show, we're going to be speaking to a very special guest who's come up with a protocol that will change the way that families work together. Hi, this is Joey Buzzertill, and welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. On today's show, we're going to be speaking to the ever gorgeous, ever lovely Emma Romano, and we've been trying to get her on the show for a long time. And she's here to talk to us about her life, her family, but more importantly, about how she created the Family Freedom Protocol to help therapists around the world to change the way that families work together. Emma, how are you?
Hey, Joe, I'm so good. Hello, everybody.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. The funny thing is that Emma and I have never actually officially met, but I feel like I know you inside out.
Mutual love. I mean, this is the first time we've actually seen each other. I
I
love it.
know, but it's good, isn't it? Like, we have mutual friends and we follow each other on Facebook. And I think, the good thing about COVID, I believe, for 2020 has been the inspiration that everyone has given each other to see people succeed. And you're one of those people that I've always been on the sidelines cheering you on.
Thank you. You are too. Thank you so much for that. Likewise.
So before we start, why don't you just give our audience a bit of a brief introduction about Emma?
About me.
Yeah, about you. Like, tell us a little about you.
Okay, so Emma Romano is a very proud wife of a gorgeous Italian hottie. Whew! So gorgeous husband. I got two amazing boys. God, they're not boys anymore. They're young men. They just turned 18 and 19. I'm also an international teacher, practitioner, public speaker of the Family Freedom Protocol and my own process, the timeline reset process. I help families all over the world. I work a lot with elite sportsmen and also some very famous people out there, which is kind of cool. But to be honest, I wasn't always doing this. I've only been in this field for about 6 years now. So before I chose to walk into this field or kind of led into this field of work, I was a tennis coach.
Oh, wow.
And I was a receptionist. And I was also a cleaner. I used to clean people's houses and I worked behind bars.
Yeah, and so I guess later on we'll talk a little bit about that transition.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you, because you are such an advocate for family, and I mean, you just simply said how much you love your family, and this podcast is about predominantly men, and you've got two boys and so on. So I wanted to ask you, from a mother's perspective, what family means to you.
Family just means connection and be able to be yourself. Family doesn't mean about being married. You can be a single person with a cat. You're a family. You can be a single person living by yourself and you have a collection of friends. They're your chosen family. Whether you believe it or not, everyone is part of the community. Community is just another word for family,
Yeah.
right? Family is where you can be you.
Is that the reason why
Family.
is that the reason why, because you love your family so much, did you actually choose to do this work because of that connection?
Yeah, because I was never, I'm a really great mum now because I love myself now and I've healed myself, right? We're always healing, but I've done so much work on myself. What I thought was a good mother beforehand wasn't actually what my boys needed. I
Mm,
was one of those very controlling mums. I know what's best for you. I was very loving, but very, very controlling. And that's not what mothering is about. That's not what parenting is about. Parenting is not about controlling. It's actually about surrender and support.
wow. Okay. And so I guess, yeah, we'll go into that a bit more because I want to have you on for an hour. But what do you think are the main fractures that we're experiencing in families at the moment? Like, I know we went through COVID, but you've been doing this work before COVID. So what are you noticing are the main presenting issues for families that they're sort of dealing with?
I'm going to knuckle it down to one big thing. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Families have stopped making each other feel important.
Okay, I agree. I totally agree because, like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, I'm not going to tell you my story, but like, I totally agree. Is that everyone seems to be busy? So, are you noticing that families are fractured and they're doing their own thing and no one's really feeling connected.
I watch parents. I just on Saturday we celebrated my son's 18th birthday. We all went to this pub. You know, we had kids from the age of 4 all the way up to 22 there. It was about 30 of us. It was great. And there's this big play area in there. And I'm watching these kids going, Mummy, Daddy, look at me. Parents are like this. They're not present. So therefore, they're not making that child feel important.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sort of like I was reading somewhere that the phone thing, what you were just doing then is the new abuse. So,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Parents think that they're doing all the good things because look at the park, but they don't realize that what they're doing with the phone and their disconnection is totally sort of like it's going to cause trauma later.
I am going to tell you something. This blows my mind. I found this out about 3 years ago. Have you ever heard about the rice experiment? You get 2 jars of rice. You cook white rice. Anyone who's watching this, I really encourage you to do this. So I've always heard about the 2 jars of rice, right? One, you put a little love heart on it. You put it somewhere in the house. You go, I love you. You're so pretty, right? And the other one, you put a big cross on it and you say things to it. I don't know, like, you know, the shitty things we say to ourselves.
Yeah,
like,
degrading
bitch,
things.
I fucking hate you, whatever, right? And you watch. And the rice that goes off the quickest and the moldy is obviously the one that you're yelling at. What I didn't know, I found out a third bottle of rice from Shiny Faye Chambers. You do a third one and you ignore it.
It dies.
You just put it away. So you don't talk to it, you don't look at it, you ignore it. And which one goes off first?
The one that you ignore?
The one that gets ignored.
It's like, I guess you could do the same thing with plants, can't you?
You can do it with anything.
Yeah, you can do it even with people.
Yeah, well, you know that whole analogy, like you stop patting the dog becomes feral.
Yeah, yeah. So with the dynamics of a family and the fact that they're not making each other special, because you have, I guess, men in your life, what do you feel is the new role for, you say, your husband and your boys in society? What are you observing as a mother?
Unfortunately, women have can I swear on here? Sorry,
well, I can make it explicit, so go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks.
I didn't expect anything less.
So unfortunately, majority of women, we have been fortunately told to be in our power, but we have misused that power and we're tyrants. And we have loved emasculating our men. So unfortunately, our men have become masculine, but in they're disowned. They're pulled away. So they'll go to work. I'm talking about the normal kind of family. They'll go to work. They'll come home, and the kids are there, but they'll go on their phones or they'll start drinking. It's called disowned. They've disowned the relationship. They've run away. That's where most women have put the men down, and then we complain about it. Or we've made our men into our girlfriends. We talk with them. We take them to get our nails. We take them to go, come, and we make them our girlfriends. And, or it's a brother, sister relationship or a mother-son relationship.
Oh, gosh.
So there's no sex because no mother wants to fuck their child and no child wants to fuck their mother. Unless they're really messed up, and that's a whole different kind of therapy.
Are they noticing, or are they noticing when they come to therapy?
No, because I think it's a norm.
Right.
So if they come to therapy, I'm all about women stop trying to control every inch of everybody's fucking life.
Yeah.
Surrender, learn to love yourself and receive and be in your divine goddess feminine. Because to be in your feminine is to receive and then shut up.
Yeah. And so can I just ask, how do other women take that?
Well, it depends.
Does some turn on you, or are they all open to it?
It depends how you express it.
Right. Okay.
I'm not shitting on anyone.
No, I just think that you're just observing, and it's like, I think that we've gone to when sometimes we go to the edge of a cliff and we think that there's more to do, but in reality, we just got to do a turn and come back and learn from what we've done. I think that we're in that place that I think we had to do that with some women because they felt like there was no power for them, and but So do you think that there's actually a role for the men now?
Oh God, yes. It's
Yes.
so important. Men are so important. There is no, there should, well, in my head, in my heart, I don't believe there should be one or the other. I believe we should all be empowered and all be empowered to love ourselves and love each other and support each other. Men need to step up into their centered masculine energy so they can serve better for their children, the community, um, serve better for their people, their friends around them, all of it.
Yeah.
Men need to stand up in their centered, but in a real centered way, not in a manipulative or distorted way.
Yeah, and that's what the whole crutch of Secret Men's business is
Yeah.
we have a project self-acceptance because we're teaching men to take responsibility rather than to project, right? Which has been a challenge, but it's good because a lot of guys are now getting it that you have to own your own life. So, say for your boys, because they're young men, how do you see them seeing the world? And say, I'm really interested because I don't really have many young guys in the group. They're more older. Like, what are some of the things, say, with how they treat other women or how they treat other people? How do you see that in regards to what they're learning and what you're seeing about that generation?
You know, I had a really proud moment last year. Jack was 18, he's my oldest son, and Jack has been a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner since the age of 14.
Wow.
And so is my son Ben since the age of 15, and also a family freedom protocol practitioner. So they're very centered young men. Don't get me wrong, they're teenagers, they're still arseholes, but they're really disgusting, but
Yeah.
very centered young men. And Jack had his first girlfriend.
Mm.
The way he treated her, I had friends around. We were us girls were so jealous. We're like, God, our lives would have been different if we'd had a centered masculine energy to be our first love.
Mm.
Things would have been very, very different. I've also got to tell you, when you're a centered masculine, you also fall hard because you feel, because you give yourself permission to
Yeah.
feel.
You're allowed to be vulnerable, aren't you?
Exactly. And, I've got this whole analogy, you've got a rug and you just start shoving shit under the rug. You're like, oh, I'll just get that later. When Jack and his girlfriend broke up, we weren't the kind of parents who said, get over it. There's millions of fish in the sea. We actually said to him, feel the feels, darling, because you're well supported here.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to grow as well. I mean, that's really good advice. So your kids actually have an amazing mother who's helped them with a lot of resources. Do you ever see any of their friends that haven't got those things? And what's your view on does that fit into the protocol that you're working on in regards to being disconnected and not paying attention to each other? Like, do you notice that some of the boys that maybe your friends of your sons don't respect family or don't or have things that are missing? Because I'm really curious to know about how we can sort of start to heal that for young men.
Yeah, what my biggest thing is this is with the boys that come in this house, our house is full of teenagers all the time. Great, great guys. But their parents are very disconnected. And some of them come from really upset homes, mum's in jail, one of the boys' mum's in jail, things like that, and very disconnected homes. All we can do is, I won't do therapy on anybody. I will lead by example.
Mm.
So it's having boundaries. I think people have mixed up boundaries with being overwhelming. I'll give an example. If somebody talks to me in a way that I don't like it, I'll just say, hang on, hun,
Yeah.
let's back it up there, instead of going, don't you ever talk to me like that. You know what I mean? There's two different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And that's a practice.
Yeah. But it also sounds like your boundaries are coming from your values.
100%.
Yeah.
Somebody else's boundaries or
Yeah.
mine.
Because a lot of people try and do boundaries, but they go into their heads and they're not connected to their values, and they figure out they can't do it, and it's because they're overthinking. And so for you lead by example. Do you notice that the guys follow? Do you notice?
Yes.
Yes. So what are some of the things that you
Yes.
notice? What do you notice about these young men these young teenagers that are teenagers? How do they start to shift and change?
It's just respect, and it's respect of themselves. And what I find so much out of these boys, especially around about 15 and 16, It's a self-loathing of their own bodies.
Mm. Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it?
You know, and then when you put it into perspective for them, I remember one of them, he had some mark on his body and he's like legit 6'4". This kid is 6'4", he was 16, right? So he had this thing, it was like the size of a 50-cent coin. And I had to put into perspective for him and go, mate, you're worried about this one thing. You're 6'4". Look at the rest of you. And he's gone, oh. So by just shifting their focus on what's working instead of what's wrong, because, well, we all know we get more of what we focus on.
Mm.
So if we're focusing on the shit, that's what you're going to get more of.
Yeah. And also, I think you've just highlighted something really important, if you don't mind, is that I think that what you just said about the body is the fact that we have to really start recognizing that the body shaming is no longer a female thing. It's male and female. Like,
Oh,
young,
yes,
you know,
definitely.
I think. Do you think it's social media that's shifted that for young teenagers?
Who knows?
Or yeah, is it? Because again, I'm not around them, so you're seeing them. Is it a big thing? Is it a big factor?
Huge.
Wow. Okay, I didn't
Huge
know that.
thing. I have a lot of young boys, especially with stretch. You know, when they have that growth spurt and they get the stretch marks in the lower back.
Yeah.
I have these stretch marks. But I think the best way to communicate anything is not by telling anybody anything.
Yeah.
It's leading and asking questions.
Mm. So like you're sort of coaching them.
Yeah. So I just ask a question, like things like, if my boys have a fight, I go, is there any way you could have done that better? Do you think? Like
Yeah.
looking back on it, do you think you could have done something different?
Yeah.
And
I
not
mean,
accusing, not saying, now, do you think you could have done something different? That's accusing.
yeah.
Do you think you could have done something different there? Just
Yeah.
moving forward, like, oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So I guess before we start talking about the protocol, you know how you said earlier that you weren't the best mum at the beginning and now you've learned? Is that what you were like?
I was
Were
a
you,
tyrant.
imagine you. I
I was
can't.
a tyrant. I'm going to show you exactly what it is. So I had two massive fears, two massive belief systems that I ran by, which really messed me up. One was that I was dumb. I failed year 8 twice. Like, I repeated year 8. I didn't do year 11 and 12. I did secretarial school. There was lots of evidence that I was dumb. I was taught from a very early age I was silly. You know, thank God you got a good sense of humor. Thank God you got a good personality, darling, because you're not very bright. You know,
Oh,
I was told from a very, very early age. But now I'm like smart as shit. Like, I'm really intelligent.
yeah.
I really am. I'm just not with math, right? So I had that. Plus, I had I was brought up in a Catholic family, and there was lots of judgment, lots of fear around judgment. That's how control was happened. We'll control you by fear. What
Mm.
will the neighbors say? What will the priest say? What will God say? God's watching you, Emma. So
Wow.
the fear of judgment was massive for me.
Mm.
So when you're running on these, it was a very unconscious belief system too. And whatever you believe, you'll prove yourself right, by the way. So I could be standing there making dinner and Jack could be, in grade 2, he might have been 7, come home, Mummy, what's for dinner? And this reaction would happen. One, you think I'm too dumb to make dinner, or two, are you judging me that I wouldn't make you a dinner? Are you making me a bad mother? So
Wow.
I would react and go, food, all right? Just food. What do you mean? You're going to have, and then I'd go, oh my God, Mummy's so. So I would go tyrant to guilt.
Yeah.
Mummy's so sorry. I'm sorry, darling. Sorry, darling. Mummy's just had a really bad day. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Mm, God, okay. And so did no one pull you, like, didn't hubby pull you up?
No, it's normal.
So it was normal being that you
That's
were,
normal behavior.
yeah, so
My
you were
whole
giving,
day would rely on, my mood would rely on whether my husband left a wet towel on the bed or not. Oh my God, I was having the best day, and now you've left the wet towel. Oh my God, it's something else for me to do. Do you know what I mean? It was ridiculous.
yeah.
I
Wow.
should have been an actor. Like,
Well,
ridiculous.
you can still be one because you're doing really well. So I guess let's go into the family freedom protocol. And do you want to just tell us a little bit about what it is? I know that we haven't got a lot of time, but can you maybe give us a bit of a summary of what you actually try to do with the families, or even with therapists to teach them?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
family freedom protocol. So I learned a whole lot of different modalities. I'm a trained counselor, learned psychology of the mind. I'm an energy worker, spiritual worker, hypnotherapist, you name it, I've done it. I put it all together. because I really believe change happens with the five dimensions: the conscious mind, unconscious, energy, at a cellular level, because we have over 70 trillion cells and they all hold a memory of 9 generations. Scientifically proven, that blows my mind. And we need to change at a soul level, like a spiritual level too. We need to
Yeah.
change all of it. So Family Freedom Protocol takes a client or a full family through 8 sessions. And there's what's different with the Family Freedom Protocol. I see a lot of clients, a lot of families that come into me who have had traditional counseling or psychotherapy, and they become quite traumatized by it, usually during the talk section. So what happens is they'll get into a family dynamic, and little Joe Bob, who's 15, can say what's mum doing wrong.
Mm.
And it's really a bad idea, because every child between the age of 2 and 16 feels solely responsible for the happiness of their parents. So if they're sitting in therapy and shitting on mum and mum's crying, it actually puts trauma in the child.
Right. Okay.
So I don't shit on anyone. We're very solution-based. We don't care about the problem. You won't have the problem. You already know the problem. We're not focusing on the problem, because you get what you focus on. So we're focusing on solution, and we just change things. And most things are triggered literally from the age of 0 to 7. So when I'm having a fight with my 19-year-old son, it's not 49-year-old mum who's having the fight. It's usually 5-year-old Emma who's having the fight.
So true. Yeah.
Got me? So that's who we need to heal. We need to get rid of all those old emotions, all those old negative belief systems that are not working for you.
Now, when you do it with a family, are you doing it individually or are you doing it together?
Both.
Yeah. And so do you find that the families come in and, say, the teenage boys or the teenagers, could be girls too, are they open to all of that?
God, no.
Okay, yes, I love the fact that you're honest.
God,
So,
no.
so how do you get them to come in and actually, because one thing that I've noticed is before when you were explaining it and you said it needs to be spiritual or soul work, I really think that is the basis of moving forward anyway. We have to, we're now spiritual. We're no longer just beings, right? And so it is going to be the healing force. So how do you get resistant, ratty teenagers?
Rapport.
Yeah, so you're persistent and you just build rapport with them.
I build rapport with them. So I always have a phone call, or I do a Zoom chat or something like that. And the first thing I say to teenagers is this, because you can anyone listening, what's the first thing that parents do? Can you fix my kid? There is nothing wrong with the kid. It's the parents, because you are your environment.
Yeah,
I can fix, that kid can be sorted within 2 seconds. But if they're going back in that environment, they have to go back to old behaviors, because they have to survive in that environment.
Yeah. So you're talking about the parents need to have boundaries and have to be respectful and all those things. And if that's not there, if the parents are scared, for example, and they don't do that, then the kid's it's gonna all go back to what it was.
Of course. So I will not see a child unless I see the parents first.
Yeah. Okay.
Send me the parents.
Yeah, that's good. It's good that you give the parents responsibility, because I think your scenario about fixing is so true that parents don't realize that it's them. I've got so many young clients that are teenager with anxiety, and the parents don't realize that they're the ones giving them the anxiety. And for you to see it,
exactly right. Because there's such pressure on our teens. And it's not just from us, because you think you've got a phone or you've got stuff. I mean, do you remember, John, when we were at school, if we got bullied, we were only at school till 3:30, then we were home.
Yeah. And it wasn't accessible, wasn't it? No one knew like they know now. It must be so full on now.
Exactly. There's no way I could handle like these. They've got this in their bedrooms 24/7. They're getting it. They're getting bullied 24/7.
Yeah.
They need to be the king or the queen of their castle at home. There needs to be their safe place. Parents need to stop going to kids' rooms and yelling at them. Let them have their bedroom.
Yeah. Do you think that is because of the, how you were before? I think there's a bit of that in every parent.
Of course there is. It's because we've been brought up that way.
Yeah, because my parents are Catholic as well. So there's like that controlling thing. Is that because parents don't trust the kids, or do you think it's because parents are scared of what the kids may go through, or both?
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. It's like,
And there's also another thing. What are people going to say about my parenting skills and my children?
yeah, it's all about yeah, that's what others going to say is so 50s and 60s, but it's still around.
It's still around because if my kid's successful, that means people think I'm successful. It's bullshit. They're on their own journey.
Yeah. Did you know about this? So I'm just going to take you on a little bit of a side note. Have you heard of what they do in Japan with their kids? So in Japan, when you turn 5 years old, I think it's only the boys. When you turn 5 years old, Emma, they give you like $5, and they tell you to go out and buy noodles on your own. So it's a cultural thing where kids are experiencing confidence at a very young age, and the kids do it, and they come back, and it's like a big celebration. And the kids that don't do it, they end up doing work with them so they can gain that confidence. Because I think that helicoptering has become, I think, a bit of an illness, hasn't it?
It's controlling.
Yeah,
Controlling behavior is one of the most detrimental things you can do to children.
yeah.
Your
So
job as parents is there to love unconditionally and support.
yeah,
You want to make I want my kids to make more mistakes now while they're at home because I can pick them up.
that's true.
When we control our kids and then they go off, they're making the mistakes in their 30s and 40s. And that's when they got a mortgage. That's when they got kids. That's when they got relationships. That's when they've got businesses. And that's when they're fucking up. They're better off messing it up now.
Yeah,
While they've got mum and dad or mum or just dad. They've got support. They're not going to die. They're not going to lose a home.
yeah.
Do
So
it now.
I was going to say, I know there's probably heaps to say, but is there can you summarize what it is that they need to do that? Because I get what you're saying. It just totally makes sense. But some parents might be resistant, or you said they may be religious. So what is a summary of what you feel that they have to go through to change? Is it just loving themselves?
Yeah, it's a real getting rid of triggers. So triggers are negative emotions and limiting beliefs pretty much from the age of about 0 to 7 to 0 to 9.
Right.
So I'll do it. I get triggered now. I'm human. I got
Yeah.
triggered before. And so
Yeah.
I'll go, Emma, hang on. Is this 49-year-old Queen Emma? Or is this that little brat who's about 6? Okay, the brat's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good that you talk about the fact that you don't suppress, that you accept all of you, and you're able to talk to yourself, and then you're able to move through it. That's really,
Yeah.
really good. So you said earlier that the thing that we're going through as families is that we're not making each other important. At the end of this protocol, do you feel that that starts to happen, or does it happen?
100%.
Yeah,
One-
because
100%. I greet my husband at the front door every day.
yeah,
It is the smallest act and it just lights him up because he wants to come home.
yeah.
When he's coming home to someone who looks him in the eye and it's not just the dog,
And you're not saying that from a role perspective, aren't you? You're saying that from a human perspective.
100% human because it makes me feel good too.
Yeah, I'm just saying that because I know that.
My man too.
Yeah, I'm just saying that because I know that sometimes listeners misinterpret things, and this is everything that you're saying is not about role or gender. It's about being human and actually seeing each other and acknowledging each other. It's not about you going to the door because you're the woman. It's about you going there.
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like so.
I work from home.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to clarify.
It's another thing. If I'm out at night and my front door light's not on, I get massively triggered. I feel that I've been forgotten.
Right.
So
Okay.
I said that to Anthony a couple of years ago, and he'll always make sure the front light's on. So whenever I come home, it's not the front lights, and I go, I feel important.
Yeah. And so how does that then? So how do the boys do that? Is it like simple things like making their bed, or is it more verbal? How do
No,
you?
they're 19 and 18. You should see their rooms. It's disgusting. Shit's growing in there.
Yeah.
I'm too scared to go in there. No, it's just respect.
Yeah.
It'll be things like we're big huggers in our house. We like personal touch.
That's so nice.
That's our love language. So we'll hug each other. We laugh. Particularly if I run a big event like Masters or Timeline Reset, or I run a big event, how I fill my cup is I need to sit on the couch with the dog, the cat, the husband, the two kids, and watch Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I need you. They're like, okay. And they'll drop what they're doing and they'll do it. And I'm like, God, that makes me feel so freaking important and special.
Yeah. It sounds like if it's yeah, I get it now. It's like
Little things. It's
because we
little,
don't do you think families don't realize?
yes.
Yeah, like they
Like
think, oh look at my
everything.
kids, they're going to play and no one's eating together, but they don't really think about it, do they?
Nah, because everyone's too important about what everyone's doing wrong,
Yeah.
how they can fix it.
Mm.
It's not about that. What can I do to make my husband feel better? What can I do to make my kids feel better? Because when my kids feel good, I feel good.
Right. Okay. So I know we have to go. Oh, I think I need to have you come back.
I
Okay.
love this.
So I just wanted to ask the last question is so what advice would you give to our male dads listening right now about what they could do to help rebuild the dynamic of a family so everyone feels like they're important? What's one bit of advice that you can give the dad?
Get present.
Get present.
Listen to respond. Don't listen to react. And one of the best things for fathers or the male, the masculine energy in the couple, because there's feminine, there's lesbians, there's gay couples, there's always a masculine and feminine energy. What I'm saying, the masculine energy is now step into your centered masculine, stop running away.
Yeah, that's a big one.
This man cave thing and like, oh, I'm running away, I'm just going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, like don't run away from emotion. Sit with, be there.
masculine up and be there to respond and ask, say, do you need me to fix this or do you want me to listen to you today?
Yeah,
What is it? What do you need?
that's really good advice.
Yeah. Ask questions, don't just assume. Take assumptions out of a relationship. Never assume what your partner's thinking because you don't know.
Yeah.
You may
And
think you know, you don't know.
yeah, we do have to get you back because that was way too short. I didn't like that at all. Like I want to talk more. So we'll have to do a part two. And just for the listeners, it's going to be all the links to Emma's Facebook, all her websites and all that. So if anyone's interested in doing the course or the training or even just seeing Emma as a therapist, all the information's there. Emma, it has been the greatest delight to finally get you on my show. Thank you so much. I know you're a very busy woman, and you're very, needed and wanted by everyone. So I appreciate the fact that you took some time out for us.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. And I just love what you do, Joy. I just love what you're all about. Thank you for helping so many men out there. Love the men. Love the men.
We love you.
You're so important. You are so important.
Thanks, gorgeous. And we'll have you back on soon. You've been listening to the Secret Men's Business podcast. And don't forget the podcast is out on Mondays and on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Don't forget to subscribe. And for a little bit of a note, know that we have now got The Back Room, a new mental health program show on YouTube on SMB TV. Everything mental health in one place. So make sure you check that out. The link's below. See you next time, guys. Bye.